Welcome, everybody. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Welcome, everybody. We'll get started in just a couple more minutes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Docusign Developer Webinar. I'm for developers. My name is Melissa Marsh on our Developer Marketing Programs team, and I'll be moderating the webinar and running our backroom logistics today. Next slide, please. And one more. Thank you. I'm here with Swapnil Deshpande, Senior Technical Product Manager, and Rajveer Sethi, Senior Product Manager, who will be presenting, and Pulkit Bhatia, Product Manager, and Bharat Bele, Senior Manager Engineering, who will be doing some demos today, along with Hannah Araju, Senior Developer Support Engineer, who will address questions via the Q&A box throughout the session, and then also after the demo when we open up the floor to questions. Next slide, please. Now, before we get started, we have just a few housekeeping items to go over. You are placed in listen-only mode, and this session is being recorded. You'll receive an email in about a week with a link to the webinar recording, along with other resources. Now, please be sure to use the Q&A button to ask questions at any time. Feel free to ask them as they occur to you, and we'll answer via the Q&A box or let you know we'll answer them live after the demo. To copy and save your questions and answers, simply right-click on them and copy and save to your desktop or document. Next slide, please. Now, is this webinar right for you? Well, this is a webinar for developers. If you're not a developer, you're more than welcome to stay, or you can check out DocuSign 101 at events.docusign.com/DocuSign101. And I will pop that into the chat now in case anyone wants to take advantage of that. Now this is just, oh, go ahead, back to the next slide, thank you. This is just our safe harbor notice. So all of the values, email addresses, keys, secrets, tokens, and other personal information you might see here today are for demo purposes only and will be deleted or revoked after the webinar. All right, so that's it for the housekeeping. You should see a quick poll on your screen in just a moment. If you can answer those questions, that will help us understand where you are in your development journey and enable us to customize content for this and future webinars. Let's go ahead and get started. Rajveer or Swapnil, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Good morning, everyone. Today we will be going over a few housekeeping items, presentation of what IAM for developers is, where you can use it, and how to get started building. Open up the session to live Q&A and then close with the resources. I'll be providing an overview of, sorry, next slide, please. I'll be providing an overview of our extension apps, how customers use them, and details on the three types of extensions that we support. Before that, I want to introduce our new destination for customers to discover and install apps that extend the Docusign product capabilities called Docusign App Center. Docusign customers can access the App Center via a public URL, appcenter.docusign.com, and install apps to use across multiple DocuSign capabilities, including eSignature and Maestro, our new workflow tool. So why we introduced the App Center? From the customer value perspective, it gives an easy access to our extension apps. And these extension apps minimize the friction from context switching by giving easy and secure access to the business tools our users already use. From the partner perspective, we make your solution front and center and easily discoverable by DocuSign's 1.5 million customer base. At an high level, extension app, which are used by the customers across DocuSign products like Maestro and eSign, comprise of actions, connections, details. You can think of action as a unit of functionality that DocuSign will execute on. These are the contracts that we expose for the developers to implement. And connections allow DocuSign to connect with the partner ecosystem securely and reliably. Today, we support three different types of extension apps. Uh, those are categorized under data verification, data IO, and file archive. We will cover what each type of app mean in the next slides and what actions each app support. Next slide, please. So this one, we are talking about the data verification extension. Businesses often need to verify the signer provided information such as bank accounts or address prior to completing an agreement. But there are challenges to verifying signer provided data as the process are often manual, time consuming, prone to error, and often resulting in not in a good order forms, leading to additional rework and costs downstream. So that's why we introduced data verification to automatically verify signer provided information that is needed to complete agreements. With this functionality, you can link up eSignature with external applications, check personal or account information a user inputs in the document, and automatically validate before allowing the user to finish the signing. Signers will be notified if they need to re-input the information due to a typo or an error. And for senders, this is great because they will be able to confidently verify that when the document is signed, they have an accurate signer information they need to execute the agreement on. In this screenshot, we are looking at the bank account verification that is supported in the United States only. And as part of the implementation, developers will implement the bank account owner action. This contract describes the parameter that the DocuSign will pass to the third-party bank account verification service and the parameters expected in the response. Uh, we require account number, account type, routing number, first name and last name in the request parameter, and the the response will be 200, indicating a successful verification. Next slide, please. Now we will be talking about the Data IO extension. This extension will help customers keep their preferred integrations like Salesforce, ServiceNow, HubSpot, etc. as their main system of record, even if they run the agreement processes with end customers and partners in Docusign. With this extension, customers will be able to create and customize business process easily across all applications via no-code configuration, kick off their integration workflow directly from Docusign, easily configure how and when to get the data or sync the data back with the system of record. And lastly, with out-of-the-box templates provided, it will take customers no time to get their business process up and running with hassle-free maintenance effort. Today, we support 5 actions that our partners will implement. Uh, Bharat Relay will be covering the action implementation as part of our demo, but I'll be briefly covering what those actions are. So those are get type names, get type definitions, create record, patch record, and search record. So the first 2 actions, which are get type names and get type definitions, allow DocuSign to import the models or objects from the system of records into DocuSign. This allows DocuSign to reuse these models in Maestro and in the future our other product areas like CLM and eSign. These actions are executed behind the scenes post-app installation, and the successful connection is established in App Center. Next slide, please. Next, we will be talking about the file archive extension. This allows customers to store different types of documents like signed agreements from DocuSign to cloud storage providers like Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, SharePoint, and OneDrive. In addition to that, DocuSign has also launched a 3P developed file archive apps by Presidio and Quick. And these partners have used our extension contracts to store the signed documents in their systems. In this example, if you want to store files in Google Drive like system that support the folder subfolder structure, then you will implement actions like list drives, list folders, and archive, which is our upsert action. Pulkit will now provide the demo in Maestro for the Google Drive app to archive the document and actions mentioned above that are used in the UI as well as behind the scenes. Over to you, Pulkit.
Thanks for the handover, Swapnil. Before we jump into the demo, I just want to talk about what Maestro really is. The agreement process doesn't just include signing of documents, but also collecting customer information, verifying, and there are actions that need to happen after the signature, like writing back to the systems of record and kicking off the next action. With DocuSign Maestro, you can work smarter with customized workflows that connect all of the pieces of your agreement process without writing any code. You can combine workflow steps for DocuSign apps like ID verification, web forms, and eSignature, and also third-party extensions to customize your agreement process end-to-end. I will share my screen to show you the demo. Roger? Thank you. All right. You can find the Maestro workflows in your agreements tab of your DocuSign account. When you click on create, when you click on create workflow, you can set up your participants. Here, I will define my participant as HR. And you can also define your starting variables. I'll be adding text as full name, and I'll add email address. Once your participants have been created, you can start adding your steps. My first step will be setting up an invite where I will invite the workflow participant to sign and take part in the workflow. So I'll be defining my participant email with my starting variables. The second step I want to define is get signatures. So I'll configure my step with a template that I've already created, which is an offer letter template. And I will define my signer as a participant that I created with the variables that I already have. In my next step, now I will be doing store files in Google Drive. So I'll select the get signature step that I already created. This is a shared connection that I configured during the app installation, and Bharat will present how to create that connection. In my drive, I'll be using a shared drive that I already have. And in my folders, you can see that the folders listed are a result of the list folder action implementation. I'll, however, go and create a new folder named HR documents. Next, I'll be defining the custom file name. So here, let me define it as offer letter and add a variable from the get signature step for my status. During execution, we will use the archive action to store the document in the path provided above. Let me end my workflow with showing a confirmation screen that will tell the participants that they've completed all of their workflow tasks. I will now go ahead and publish my workflow. Once it is published, I will be sending it out to the participants to sign. So let me do that after I publish. Right, I'll just wait for a couple of seconds for it to finish publishing, and I can start the instance. Right, here we go. Awesome. I should see an email here that will ask me to start the workflow. Right, here we go. Once I've reviewed and signed, and once it is saved inside my Google Drive, it should show me a notification that says that all my workflow steps are completed. As you remember, I added a confirmation screen at the end. We should be able to see the document in my Google Drive. Just waiting for the archiving step to finish. Awesome. So I'll go to my shared drive, and I should see the HR documents folder that I created and my signed document that is now shown up with the file name that I selected for my completed document. Okay. Raju, can you please share the screen?
Yep.
Thank you. Great. I think the slide before that.
Pulkit, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen. Can you show me the slide before that?
Rashmi, are you able to do slideshow?
Uh, Yes, just give me a second.
Awesome. Thank you, Rajveer. Right. So, what are the benefits of using this? You can see there's a common set of contracts for developers. So, you don't need to set it up multiple times. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. You only have to install it once for multiple users. And the customization is just based on the product, based on the CLM and eSign product. You don't have to worry about the UI. As you can see, as Swapnil mentioned, we have partner apps built by Presidio and Quick. The UI will be very similar to what our Google Drive is providing, and you don't have to worry about it. DocuSign will take care of that. Right, I'll hand it over to Swapnil.
Thank you so much, Pulkit. So I will be presenting next about like what's in our roadmap for the extension apps and overall platform. Uh, from the data verification perspective, we plan to support the data verification in our web forms as well as the data in our Maestro workflow to optimize the workflow capabilities and minimizing the risk and accelerate the business outcomes for your organization. Moreover, we will launch the custom data verification, allowing organizations to connect with the internal systems and confirm the data against those systems to ensure consistency with internal source of truth. The Organizations can also tailor the custom data verification further by creating the custom data models that correspond to the desired templates and use case requirements. This will allow organizations to further customize the data verification to their specific needs while ensuring that no fields are missed or mistyped, boosting the information accuracy and providing greater workflow flexibility. For our data extension, um, today customers can select record from a single object. However, customer need to refer data from the child objects associated with the parent object for their agreement preparation as well as ingesting the data. In order to improve this customer experience, we will be supporting customers to select records from child objects. Additionally, uh, we will be also supporting an ability to store the signed agreements in their system of records, which will be which will use our file archive extension. Furthermore, for the file archive extension, we plan to support the vaulting requirements where customers can store the authoritative copies of the signed agreements. Lastly, we plan to launch a file import capability, which will complement the file archive capability that we support today. Um, as part of this, customers will be able to import five files through our synchronous process or in bulk, where number of files can be anywhere between 1,000 to 5,000 from the cloud storage providers. In our newly launched Navigator tool, in this tool, users will be able to search for an agreements based on an attributes, capture and standardize the agreements data with the help of DocuSign AI, and stay on top of important dates for better negotiation opportunities such as renewals and title the security by controlling agreement access. As of today, developers do not have an option to only implement the data import related actions or data export related actions. Since this is a problem uh, that is pronounced in our data extension, where the partner developers need to stub the action contracts that are not required as per their business needs. We are planning to simplify this part of the developer journey and allowing the developers to either implement just the data input or the output action set. So this concludes our extension app related overview. I will hand it over to Rajvi to talk about the dev console and what developers need to do to bring these apps to App Center. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Swapnil. So you've just seen what extension apps are. How can you discover and install them in the App Center? And then how can you use them in Maestro? Now, in the remaining session, Bharat and I, we are going to cover how can you create and publish extension apps to the App Center using Dev Console. So what is Dev Console? Dev Console is a new tool from Docusign that allows developers to manage the entire lifecycle of extension apps from one single place. Currently, the Dev Console is in its beta, and you can access it by logging into developers.docusign.com using your developer account. If you don't have one, you can create it for free by visiting the same website. Next, I'm going to cover what are some of the features which are available in Dev Console today. So we have these 5 features at a high level. The first one is the build feature, using which you can create and register your extension app with DocuSign using a JSON interface. The second one is the test feature, using which you can easily test the connections and actions of your extension apps to ensure they are working as expected. Using the same feature, you can also launch Maestro or eSign to test your extension apps directly into those products. Bharat will cover this in detail during his demo. The third one is the submit for review feature, using which you can enter the details about your extension app and submit it for review. Fourth one is the publish feature, using which you can publish your approved extension apps to the App Center and reach millions of DocuSign customers in the US region. And the last one is the versioning feature, using which you can add minor updates to your extension apps. So with that, I'm now going to hand it over to Bharat, who will give you a demo on all these features in detail. Bharat, I'm
Thank you.
stopping my sharing. Yeah.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Rajveer. Hello, everyone. So what you have seen from Swapnil and Pulkit is basically how you get the power of extension apps, where you can extend the capabilities of DocuSign platform into your own system of records. Now I'm going to show you how you can build those apps so that you as a developer or partner can come and extend it to any other system of record which doesn't exist today on DocuSign platform. So if you see, this is our app center where millions of our customers can come and discover apps. And these apps are either bound to Maestro workflows or our eSign, eSign ceremonies, right? So how can you get your app as a developer on this particular app center, right? You would basically come to DocuSign, developers.docusign.com, and you would discover our new developer console, which we are building for extension apps. Basically, this particular documentation will provide you a 101 kind of a platform overview of what we are building for our developers and what is an extension app. So this particular overview will give you that, hey, to build a DocuSign workflow, you can basically create an app, implement those actions through the contracts we provide, and DocuSign will internally call your API endpoints from a particular workflow action when it is triggered, so that you can get data or write data to a system. So once you navigate to extension app documentation, the first thing you're going to look into is our app references, where we have a manifest reference and we have our extension contracts. Extension contracts, basically, you just saw how Pulkit demoed the file archive, where there was a offer letter which got archived to a Google Drive app. And this is basically our extension contract for our file archive apps. Then there are data verification apps, which Swapnil was talking about, where we have different set of contracts to do data verification when, on runtime, on lifetime, where a customer is signing an app. I'm going to show you today how to create a data input-output app where you can read from your system and write to your system during, during our workflow action steps. So basically, this documentation will give you a lot of information about how you are going to implement our action contracts. What are the input request and response objects which we are expecting you to build and implement? And we have a simple example also here which gives you an idea so that you as a developer can get started and start building on our platform. So I really highly encourage and recommend you guys to look into our documentation. If you want to look into a sample code, you're going to go to github.com/Docusign. You're going to come here and search for reference implementation. And you'll see we have 2 reference implementation already for you, where you can go to a data verification reference implementation and basically just clone this repo so that you can see what services, what kind of contracts we have, and how have we provided an implementation. So this will give you a starting point so that you can start creating an app in your ecosystem. Coming back to the reference, once you have created your implementation on these action contracts, you need to talk to Docusign, and Docusign needs to know how would our platform, call your platform in a secure way for our million customers who can install your app, connect to your providers, and do data input output. Right. So the way to interact with Docusign today is through Developer Console. And I'm gonna show you Developer Console, but before I go there, I want to quickly walk through the app manifest reference. Today we get a simple JSON format where you can create a JSON and upload it to our Dev Console, but I'll walk you through what that JSON is. So we want to know what your app is, what kind of app you're building. We want to know what is the description of that app. What is a short description? What is a long description, so that your customers would eventually see this in the listing service, which is the App Center. We want to know what is your terms of service, your privacy, your support URL. Who are you as a publisher? So these are some metadata information about your app. And then comes the crux of the app which you're building. We want to know what connection providers you have, where a customer will log into this provider, and then Docusign will use this under the hood to make calls when the action is executed. So you will name a connection provider, and you will, today we support OAuth implementations, and you'll give us an offline scope, which we mandate today, so that we can do an async call behind the scenes. You will give us your provider client secrets and IDs so that we can first time set up it. Once you give this to us, we will not show you this again. And then what profile URL should Docusign call? What is the token URL? What is your authorization parameters and URL? What are the scopes you specifically are asking for from your customers? Some more metadata. What is your icon? What are the screenshots which you want your customers to see? And then these are the extension and action implementations, where this is an example manifest for implementing a data IO contract. Let's say I have already implemented my service, which implements these actions. Now I want to tell Docusign, hey, call my URL, which I have an example of a third part, a URL or a service which I have stood up, which will call get type names. So whenever this action is executed, Docusign will go ahead and call this API using the connection reference which I have provided in my manifest. So this particular schema lets Docusign know how to call your system. And this is an example of a manifest which you will be providing to us and basically giving us the references of your extension. Now let's get back to Dev Console. So you will go to developers devconsole.docusign.com, which will require you to log in. And once you log in, you will get a sample slate where you can start working on. To log into Dev Console, you would require a demo account. If you don't have a demo account, I encourage you to go to developers.docusign.com and create a new account for you. You will get a free sandbox account where you can play around with our demonstration environment. So let's start creating an app. Once you create new app, we give you a sample manifest so that you know what you're building. And we give you a simple icons and simple metadata. But because I already have a manifest, I'm going to go ahead and select that manifest and upload it. As soon as I upload it, I have a way to validate so that everything is working fine. So my validation succeeds. That means whatever I have written here looks good. I can go ahead and create a new app. There you go. So my Snap Data app is now created. I have my icon. I got a new ID, which you'll see later down the path. If I did some mistake in uploading my icon or my name, I can go back to my manifest and click on edit. You will have to make sure that you update your client ID, client secrets again, because we obscure it once we store it in our secure store. You can edit, validate, and save your changes. Let's say my changes look good. I can go to App Center Preview section, which can tell me, hey, how would my published data look like? How would my short description look like? Is everything looking good on my long description? My screenshots, which I have uploaded, are they looking good? So that all the metadata, it gives the developer a view of how this app is going to look on the App Center when it loads. You have a ton of information like the name, your publisher information, your long description, your developer, your resources. So Dev Console gives you a way to verify that before you even publish. Now let's make sure that whatever I have created works and Docusign is able to make contact with my API and connection information, which I provided in the manifest. I'll go ahead and install this app. Because this app is not yet published, you won't see that app in the Docusign App Center, right? But we give developers a way to install it through Dev Console. So I'll go ahead and install this app. Once the app is installed, you'll see one of these testing zones start becoming enabled for me. So before I can actually make a call to my actions, which I provided in the manifest, I have to connect. So I'll go ahead and connect. Once I click on run test, you see this is the provider action authorization URL, which I provided in my manifest to Docusign. So it's coming up correctly. I'll go ahead and click on run test. Because I have already logged in, it didn't show me the login screen, but it will basically show the OAuth pop-up to log in for the customer. And your customer will see what amount of scopes you are asking for your customer. I'll go ahead and accept this scope. Success. So this means that whatever I have done in my manifest for the connection object is working fine and it is looking good, and Docusign is able to make a call using the OAuth code grant flow. As soon as I connect, all of my other action implementation become enabled for me. Let's see how can I actually run that test. So I'll go and click on run test of get type names. Looking back at my manifest, my get type names, this is an action which calls my external system of record to retrieve the names of supported types. And it calls my API, which is called as get type names. This looks correct. That means I can start making calls to this endpoint, which I have in my system as a developer. Again, if you want to know what this request response look like, this is your go-to page where you need to go to data IO, look back at get type names. There's empty request object, which we are going to call your service, and your service will respond with some type name information. Let's see what my service does today. So I'll click on run test. This will use the connection information which I just configured, and it will call my API, and it will get a result. So the test results succeeded. It is able to make a call to my API, and my API responded with the type name called as boards. And there was a sample label, which my API responded with, and a sample description. So my action execution is now succeeding. Let me test one more extension action. I'll go to get type definition. This particular action requires me to send a input. I'll go back here and look at here. So this particular contract information tells me that, hey, there is an input object which Docusign expects, which is type names, which is a request object, and Docusign is going to call my API, and my API, Docusign expects my API to respond with the Concerto model. I'll go back and see if I have implemented that correctly. If I make a mistake here, Dev Console is smart enough to understand that type, and it will give you, what we are expecting here. So it gives a easy way to test your types. I'll go ahead and run test. Success. So now Docusign platform is able to call my API with this input, and my API responded with this output. So this is what Dev Console provides you as a developer to perform extension action, building phase. Now let's say I'm ready with my app, right? I can go to workflow, which Pulkit was showing. Just go to that web page for once. I can go to my agreements tab, and there's a new tab called as Maestro workflow. I can go ahead and create a workflow. I'm still in my same account, so the app is not yet published. So I'm still a developer trying to test my app in a demo environment. So if you see, my links are going towards demo and not production. I'm going to show you how that app will look like. Let's say I have not created any participants, but let's say I have participants ready. I collect some data with web forms. Then I go ahead and I want to read information from my app, which is the Snap Data app. So I'll search for Snap Data. Awesome. I can see that there are 2 steps ready for me because I have used Data IO extension. I can read and I can write to my app. Let's say I read and I can configure this. I can see that, oh, there's a connection called as authentication ready for me to use. And using that connection, Docusign is able to call my API and get my board. Awesome, that is ready for me. If I want to make sure that this is also working on App Center, I can go to my logged in mode in App Center using the same demo credentials as a developer, because we give you that for free. You can go to your manage apps and you can see that there is an installed app. This is an installed app because you installed it using your dev console. So it's showing up in your installed section. You can come here and actually manage connections in the demo environment of App Center as well. I just wanted to show you the connection information. So if you see on the workflows, this is how your consumers are going to see your app, right? Your consumers can go here and say, and save. Now I can go back and see if this is updated. You see this? So I have a connection available for me, which I can use, which is Bharat webinar. And using that connection, Docusign is able to call my API and get my type object. I can set this up. And let's say I get one more eSignature step where I can get all the information from there. And now once all these steps are done, I want to write back to my Snap data. So I again search for Snap data. I use the write back option. And again, just for validity, I have my connection ready. I have my board ready. I can apply that. So this gives you a way for a developer to come on Dev Console, create your apps, test your apps, validate them on the Maestro workflows, create workflows, publish workflows in your secured demo and sandbox and logins, and test your apps. Once you're ready, once you are confident that, hey, my app is now doing what it is supposed to do, and I'm ready to publish it for the Docusign ecosystem, you can go and publish your app. And you can submit your app for app review. So there's some guidelines which are given to you here, where our app review team will go and look into technical and functional and business considerations and review your app. Once the app review team has reviewed, they will approve it, and you will see that there is a new button available for you, which is called as publish. As soon as you publish, your app will be available on Docusign App Center in demo environments, as well as Docusign App Center production environments, so that your customer will see your app as a card here. They can install that app. They can connect their provider, their login, and consent to your scopes. And as soon as they connect, they will see that app in their Maestro workflows, and they'll be able to configure. Let's say you've published your app and you want to do another change to your app. Let's say you added another action, or let's say you changed your description. You can make those changes by the feature which we have implemented called as versioning. And those versions will start listing down here in the published versions section. I'm very excited for you guys to start developing apps on the Docusign platform. Again, make sure that you have this URL bookmarked. You can come here, start here at Extension Apps 101. And now I'll hand it over to Rajveer.
Thank you, Bharat, for an exciting and detailed demo. I'm going to quickly cover what's next for Dev Console, and then after that, we're going to open it for Q&A. So yeah, what's next for Dev Console? Our plan is to add these 5 additional features to the Dev Console and make it GA sometime in November of this year. I'm going to give a quick overview of these 5 new features. So the first one is region expansion. So today, like I mentioned earlier, that you can only publish your extension apps in the US region. With this feature, you can also publish your extension apps in Australia, Canada, and Europe. The second one is the multiple environments configuration. So today, like Bharat was showing, you can configure your production connections and actions. And with this feature, you will also be able to configure your non-production connection and action and test them out. And this will also give your customers an opportunity to try out your extension apps against your non-prod environment before switching to the prod environment. The third feature is private app distribution. So today you can only publish in public mode, meaning every Docusign customers can discover and install your app. And with this feature, you'll also be able to publish your extension app in private mode and make them discoverable and installable only to selected accounts that you want. The fourth feature is the form-based app creation. So today you can create your app and register it using a JSON interface. With this, you'll be able to do that using a form-based experience, which will simplify the app creation tremendously. And the last one is the monitoring dashboard, which will allow you to monitor the performance and the traffic of your extension apps when they are live in production. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna open it for Q&A and hand it back to Melissa.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Great job today. Super appreciate all the wonderful demos and presentations. We have a number of questions from folks that have come in. I think that there are some that might benefit everybody. One of those related to, are these services all available globally or just in the US?
The Dev Console is available in globally. You just need an account with developers.docusign.com, and then after that, you'll be able to access Dev Console.
I want to add to that. So once you publish your app, we are coming up with a publish section where you can publish to our global regions. Today we support Canada and Australia, but we are coming up with EU region in next couple months. So yep, we are globally available. For creation, you don't require global accounts, but once you publish, our global customer base will be able to install and see your apps.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's see here. Hannah, did you have any questions that have already been answered that might benefit the whole audience? Maybe something along the lines of the workflow and signers?
No, not actually. But just one question here that just came here, and that's important to understand. Like, how is the process to have the application published in case like I want to build like an application for my company or for a third party. How I do achieve that and how Docusign evaluates my application.
I can take that. So yeah, great question. Like I said, we are planning to implement a private app distribution feature that will allow you to create and publish your extension app just for your own organization. That feature is currently under implementation, and we plan to make it available sometime by end of August or early September, and we'll keep you posted.
Okay, great. Okay, is the workflow something the signer will see, or is it just for the sender to see?
The workflow is something that only the sender will see, and the process builder, the person who actually created that workflow, or anyone who has access to see the workflows will be able to see it. But the signer will only see the workflow steps that are actually assigned to them. So for example, in the demo that I showed, you saw that there was an eSignature step that was assigned to the participant. So they were only able to see that step and a confirmation screen that showed up for them, but they did not see the archiving step or the storing files inside of Google Drive step was not shown to the signer.
Great, thank you. Rashveer, do we have to purchase Maestro workflows from Docusign to use Maestro?
It depends. If you want to use Maestro just for the testing purpose, then you don't have to purchase it. You get it for free in the demo account. And like Bharat was showing a demo where you can open the Maestro and search for your actions and then be able to create a Maestro workflow and test it out. So you get all of that for free. But then if you want to use Maestro in production, then you have to purchase it.
Great, thank you. And just for everybody's benefit, the demo account is called a developer account, and
I think we lost Melissa.
oh, sorry, I was on mute. For the developer account, that with our demo environment, I dropped that into the chat for everybody at go.docusign.com/show/sandbox. You can sign up for that today for those of you who might not have already. All right. Is there any session available related to Docusign API webhook outside of creating extension apps? So we do have some Connect webhook sessions that have been pre-recorded, and we are also planning to do an updated one sometime this fall, either September or October. You can check out our developer website at developers .docusign.com/developer-events to keep an eye out for that coming up. And I think we have time for just one more question. Let's see. Is there a way to update a contract after conclusion? Maybe Pulkit or Rajveer, is there, like
Swapnil,
after
can
we
you
go
take?
through the workflow process?
Azure, I think I can take this one. Like when you finish like a contract with DocuSign or any document, if it's completed, you can't change it anymore. So for these sort of executions that we have for Maestro, when you finish an app, a document to be signed, you currently can only archive this document in a vault service, like or a third party or your own one for the private scenarios. So the document won't be changed here at DocuSign. So if you have like a field here in the envelope, and we expect these to be changed after it's completed, it's not possible, but it's regardless the way that you do that, or through Maestro or even from any other DocuSign action place that you can do, or from the website or from the API. You can't change anything in a completed envelope as soon as it's finished.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted to add one more thing to that. If the question was related to can you change the underlying contracts which Swapnil was sharing in his slides, the file archive, the data IO, then the answer for that one is also no. You cannot update those contracts. The whole idea of having contracts are to make sure that you can adhere to the request and response of what DocuSign is expecting. So that's why we have those contracts in place, and you cannot modify them.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you both for that. Could we go back to the resources slide, please, Rashveer? All right, next slide. One more slide. No, back one. There we go. Thank you so much. All right, so that is all the time that we have for questions today. If we didn't get to your question or you think of something else, you can always reach out to us at developers@docusign.com, and this team will reply to you following the webinar. You can also go to Stack Overflow and tag us at Docusign API for a community response. You can place a support ticket if you need help, developers.docusign.com/support, or check out our training videos with Docusign University. We have a number of blogs at docusign.com/blog/developers for how-tos to do all of the things that you saw here today. We also have a number of upcoming webinars. So API office hours, where you can drop in and ask questions about anything, will be July 9th, live from Seattle at 10 a.m. And then we also have another developer webinar as part of this I'm for Developer series coming up, Maestro API, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. All of the resources that you see here on the left, including the FAQs, we'll share those via an email about 2 weeks from today. And you can also check out the recording that will be included in the email as well. Next slide. All right, so now as mentioned, we're in an open beta for our I'm for Developers platform, including all the services you saw here today that enable you faster time to value with your signing experience. Our next session will focus on a deep dive into Maestro API on July 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. To register, go to developers.com/developers-events. And that is all the time we have for today. So I would like to just take a moment to thank Swapnil, Pulkit, Rajveer, and Bharat for leading the presentation and demo today, as well as Hannah for helping with all of the great questions that came in today. Please note you will receive a survey at the end of the webinar. We'd appreciate your help sharing feedback and suggestions. I saw some of you drop some of that into the Q&A box. Thank you very much. We'll definitely take a look at that. And tell us what you would like us to cover in the future as well. Other topics or ideas you might have. We're totally open to all of that. And thank you to all of you, our attendees, for joining us today. Have a great remainder of the day, everyone.